Welcome, everybody, to Macro Crypto with the Mac Bros. So, I'm one of your hosts, Ryan, and this is...
I'm Shane, the other host.
So, this is our first episode of the Macro Crypto Show, and we wanted to just start off by sharing with everybody why we started the channel, and let you kind of take that away.
Yeah,
it was your idea.
Sure. I just brought it up as something that I felt, first of all, was going to be fun for both of us. Like something that we both enjoy. We have a lot of conversations daily about crypto and, about our holdings, but also just about the ecosystem, where everything's headed in the future, about even past. So we figured, why not share that with anyone that's willing to listen, if anybody will. But, I think so many new people could utilize some of the knowledge that we've gained throughout this, who's our influences over time, the mistakes we've made, because we've made a lot along the way.
Yes, we have.
But, I fully believe in allowing others to, figure out their own journey along the way and take from us what they may, if that's anything. But it's just get the word out there. But also, at the end of the day, if this turns into nothing, I just will enjoy talking about crypto for an hour with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know, it's kind of, I think one thing you said that really was like, yeah, of course, we're talking for an hour, 2 hours sometimes about crypto. We might as well record it and then put it out there for somebody who's going to get value from it. And it'll just be, at the very least, just a fun thing for us to do. But obviously, we've had a lot of fun for the last 5 years plus now. It's 2022. We started back in 2017.
16, yeah.
Was it 16?
Yeah, technically.
Okay, yeah. So I know, thinking back, I remember Nick Higgins, one of our mutual friends that we both worked with at different companies in the past. He was the first person that ever told me about Bitcoin. That's the first time I ever heard about it.
That was like Bitcoin. 2012, right? Or 13 somewhere?
Yeah, somewhere around there. I think 13 or 14 because I graduated college in 12. But
and you didn't take his advice?
No. It was, I remember him telling me you should buy some Bitcoin. Bitcoin was $250 at the time. And I remember thinking, why would I buy this video game currency? I didn't even understand the concept of what it was trying to tell me. I was like, no, why would I buy that? It's like, I'm not even investing in anything, let alone some fake currency, Mm-hmm. And so I remember him telling me about it. So great thing he did, though, because I was probably just slightly warmer to the idea when you brought the idea up to me. You said, hey, Ryan, you should look at Ethereum and maybe buy some. And if you remember what Ethereum's price was then.
Yeah, I think at the time it was $7.
Yeah.
It was right at the end of 2016. Because I think I was right. I told you about it before I actually told mom and dad about it. Mm-hmm. I just brought it up to them, and their reaction was just quite similar. Obviously, they're being boomers and everything was very quite similar to your reaction. It was like, why would I buy this internet fake money? Exactly. This Ponzi scheme. As a lot of people would put it, as we would discuss, Bitcoin and Ether along the way, but bringing in, how it even came into my life to even bring up to you, was very much like anybody that's enjoys sports. I found myself, using a gambling website that was offshore, and I was trying to place money into it, but I already exceeded my amount that my credit card company would let me, and they started not allowing me to send it to this specific site. So I wanted to find a way to, obviously if I'm putting more money in, that means I wasn't doing very well. But putting that beside,
you did have your sprees though as well.
I did. That's with every great gambler, and everyone only knows about your ups.
Yeah,
they don't talk about your downs. So we, but at that time, I will always be very happy with my, where I was not hitting, because it brought me to Bitcoin.
Absolutely.
So the gambling website I ended up was taking Bitcoin, and I was curious about it, so I kind of started looking into it. which actually got me down a rabbit hole with Bitcoin that led me right into Ethereum. And this was back, when I was staying up late. So I went down such a deep rabbit hole, multiple days, and started learning a lot more about it. And lo and behold, I knew nothing about it. I thought I was learning a lot, but there's so much that goes into this. And that is what brought me to the crypto world.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I remember you telling me about it, and I don't know if you sent me this specific video or if I just found it, but it was, probably one of the first marketing videos Ethereum had ever put out, and just kind of describing what it was. And it was like some robotic woman voice, and it's like, Ethereum is like the decentralized worldwide computer, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, decentralized nodes. I'm like, what is this? I have no idea what any of these words are.
Web 2.0, Web 3.0.
Yeah.
And they start throwing out, like, this is the future of, like, decentralized apps. And it's just, when it first hits you, you're just like, what the heck? And I do remember that same feeling. And the crazy part about it was not knowing the difference between Bitcoin and Ether, too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just how truly different they are. But at that time, you're just learning.
Internet money to invest in and speculate on. Yeah. Like, that was like a huge part of it, which, obviously a lot of people probably start that way with thinking, I'm going to invest in this and make money. Because that's what a lot of people are doing. Like, wow, I just heard my friend made, 100, 200% gains on this investment. So I think people get excited about that, which, like, admittedly, that's what I've been excited about from the start. And then, of course, that's carried on even as I've gotten interested in the decentralization and the freedom aspect of it, all these really cool aspects of cryptocurrency. But, of course, the speculatory gains is what draws a lot of people in.
Yeah, and, that also reminds me of part of why we also started this channel, too, is because, not only is it, we're the McBurney brothers, so that's why it kind of came out to macro crypto. But macro being a term that's a long-term hold into the future, it's, I think, so short-sighted for so many people that are, different influencers or people that are communicating with even new people coming in or even holders currently, that the gains right now and the gains for 2021 were huge, but also for 2022 are you going to be bigger. But it's more of like, these are long-term investments. Mm-hmm. Not saying you have to hold them forever. Just from my opinion, it's something that you want to look at, not trying to gamble short-term, but you're gambling for the long-term because you're going to have more success that way, in my opinion.
Yep, absolutely. And, I think that's a great segue into talking about some of that price action we saw in the early days and kind of what 2017, that whole bull run looked like that went into the very beginning of 2018, and what that felt like for us and probably for a lot of people, of course. So
to the moon.
As we mentioned, like, Ethereum was at $7 when I first learned about it. And I remember I bought my first Ether at $20. It had tripled by the time, from when you told me about it a couple weeks later.
Yeah.
Whenever to $20, I bought one. And then before I knew it, it was $45. And I was like, what the hell? It just doubled in price in a few weeks.
Well, and it's crazy. It's not like, we were just graduating college at that time, and it's not like we had much money. Mm-hmm. We were lucky enough and fortunate enough that parents gave us a little bit of cash. We put a little down payment on a house, which happened to be right after when the market was at the bottom from the financial crash of 2008.
Yep.
Just recovering back, I think it was either 2011 2012.
And the housing market was at the bottom, to be specific.
Yes, to be specific, exactly. And that's when we purchased the home.
Yeah.
And fast forward to 2017, we've had a little bit of equity in the home, but not much. But the housing market now has increased, by a good amount for us. And you brought up to the idea to me, I think it was in the February of 2017.
Mm-hmm.
I just brought this up to you back in December of 2016 about crypto, and you brought up the idea of selling our house so we could use the equity and use the money to invest in something that was at the time still a very new, fresh thing.
And very crazy considering how little we knew at the time. Looking back, it's like, oh, of course. Amazingly smart decision.
But us just being average Joes, not being financial experts by any means. But you brought it up and I was just like, no.
Yeah.
And then fast forward about a few months later, we listed our home.
Yep, absolutely. I remember, coming to that idea because I think gotten to a point where I was investing, $1,000 here and there, a few $100, maybe I think I had maybe a few thousand in my bank at one point and put as much as I could.
Extra you had from the checks.
Yeah, exactly.
You could spend.
It's like, oh, paid the mortgage for the month.
I don't need to eat.
Yeah. I'll eat in the future, yeah. I'll eat Ethereum. An Ethereum Bitcoin sandwich. But yeah, it's like, I remember kind of exhausting the liquid assets I had and thinking like, we got to invest more. It's going up forever. It's never going to stop. Yeah. And
which is just ridiculous to think. But when you're riding that wave, and that was an early wave too, because that wave was huge later on.
Yeah. I mean, from $7 up to 1,400 at the top of that bull run.
Yeah.
That's, who knows, over 1,000% gain, right? I mean, maybe even more. I don't know what my math.
Wait, from $7?
Yeah.
Oh, in 2016, if we were talking $7, that was a 2,000%.
2,000% gain. That's unfathomable in most investments,
Yeah, which was it's crazy, and we're not even talking about 2,000%. Sorry, it's like we'll figure that math out.
Yeah,
but
right. Yeah,
don't trust us with that.
Could be 20,000. Who knows?
Who knows? But regardless, it was that year was wild. Because everything seemed like it was happening so fast, and our house couldn't sell fast enough.
Yeah,
we couldn't get the money from escrow fast enough to then transfer it into to the crypto world that we hold now, and it's whether it was Ether, Bitcoin, even a little bit of Litecoin.
Yeah,
I don't even know what Litecoin's doing these days.
Yeah,
got out of that position a long time ago. But it's that 2017, I never thought it was going to end. It's
right.
just being that first time in the market, not understanding how the ebbs and flows work was something that was eye-opening. Especially once 2018 came around. But that feeling of euphoria and
absolutely
to the moon.
I remember... initially what we invest, maybe, 30 each or so, 30K each.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember at different points, toward the end of 2017, the beginning of 18, adding up my portfolio every few days and thinking, holy shit, it's been 3 days and I just made 20K in 3 days from this investment. And just totaling it up every few days, thinking this is ridiculous.
And I think it's also that was such obviously a macro way to look at things, just being excited about every day is going to be this way. And, we jumped in at a perfect time, obviously, but at the same time, it was naive of us to believe that, this is... weren't really thinking long term. Mm-hmm. We weren't actually thinking about taking it out either, though.
Right.
But everything was so hyper focused on tomorrow, or the day, current market, and then how is it going to explode just for tomorrow?
Right.
Not thinking years ahead.
Yeah. Because I know we've talked about a lot. Our mantra was just hodl. We're just going to hold, and it's going to go up forever. And we didn't really foresee a bear market. We didn't really know about the 4-year cycles and blah, blah, blah. I think that was still maybe a new idea because there had only been 2013. And then 2017 was like, there's these 4-year cycles and, with the Bitcoin halving and all these things. But our mantra was HODL, which is, the hold. Just hold forever.
Hold forever, dude. I'm never selling.
Right.
Diamond hands. And yeah, that mantra was huge. That was the whole crypto market.
Mm-hmm. And it's still pretty prevalent today.
It is. And I believe this is accurate. For those out there, you can Google me and check. But hodling was a term that actually was an accident.
Yeah.
Someone was talking about, it was a typo, wanted to talk about hold.
On a Reddit forum.
Yes. And had a typo, which all of a sudden is the mantra of the crypto market.
Just one of those.
Even till this day.
It went viral and everyone just thought it was hilarious. And this guy, he's probably still hodling to this day. Probably hasn't sold a thing. It was, somebody who was trying to trade the markets, and trying to time the markets well and say, I'm going to sell this bottom, buy this top, but instead doing the opposite, like many people do.
Yeah.
The price dips and you think like, oh, I should sell here. It's going to dip further. But instead it goes up and then you buy because you're scared it's going to go up forever. And you end up losing money on that.
Yeah, you won't find day trading advice here. I'll tell you that.
No.
Because that's not our forte, and I highly believe that it's nearly you're just gambling at the end of the day with that, like very highly risky gambling.
Absolutely.
Along the way. But that 2017 had a few other things that were mistakes along.
Yeah.
Because we just wanted to be a part. We had that FOMO. And one of those instances was the Tron-olution. Tron
was, I remember putting $20 into it.
Which is not obviously too bad.
Right.
Like, you put $20
like no big deal. But where the mistake was when I went from 200 or $20 to either 200 or like 2,000 within a week. Like holy shit. And then I'm telling you about it. Like, dude, look what happened. I made all this money. You should buy some too.
Granted. Now, I mistakenly used Bitcoin too at that time to dabble a little bit into Tron. And granted, I bought it at 12 cents at that time, I believe it was. And it ended up hitting 33 cents, I believe was
almost tripled high. From there. But of course, did not take any profits.
Mooning. It's going to go to the moon. I didn't take profits.
Oh, yeah, I may have, yeah. I sold before it went back to 20. Yeah. I don't know if it ever got back that low, but yeah.
No, but granted, no idea, not even really looking into Tron too much.
Exactly.
It was, you find out that they just copied the white paper of Ether, changed some code a little bit here and there.
Yep.
And how successful can a blockchain be if they're just copying?
Just get a lot of hype behind it, and we still see that today, of course, too.
Oh, yeah.
Different hype trains for NFTs and all these different forks of different projects.
Meme tokens.
Yeah, Just the meme tokens.
This year. And we can't even get into that yet.
No.
That's for another day.
Right.
That is for another day.
Yeah, so, then obviously we go through that whole parabolic rally in 2017 all the way into the beginning of 18, and then we see the huge crash, which I didn't even identify and believe was happening until we were already, more than halfway back down. Like Ethereum's prices had reached 1,400, Bitcoin had reached 20K, and, crashed back down. And I remember Ethereum being 700, 500, and I'm buying it the whole way down, thinking I'm getting the deal of the century, buying Ethereum when it's a third of the price. And
4 years later, you did get the deal of the century, though.
Yes, absolutely, yeah. Bought cheap Ethereum at the time. Just had no idea that we were going into a 3-year bear market.
Yeah.
And,
I mean, and for average people like ourselves, it was like learning how to deal with the market in our own way. And we learned so much from just being a part of that.
Mm-hmm.
and how to facilitate what we want to do moving forward. And, that's goes back to this, like, why we started this channel, and just kind of giving this feedback on the idea that, look, you got to have an idea long term here. What do you want to do? And in order to fully understand the Ethereum blockchain or Bitcoin, you got to buy it and get in and utilize it. And from my opinion, that's where all those mistakes and all that, knowledge and learning experiences that we had from 2018 going into that 2017 going into 2018 bear market was so vital for me, at least, to where I'm at today and how I'm dictating my trades, or how I'm dictating my finances on where I'm holding and how I can utilize it for the future.
Right.
And trying to have a macro look on things instead of such a micro, this year only, this is what matters, what's going to produce, how can I flip things? Because at the end of the day, I'm going to FOMO into things or ape into it. And yeah, I might hit on a few, but at the same time, I'm not going to fully be for the better for the future, in my opinion, if I'm only worrying about just doing that
short term, especially, I've been learning more about dopamine lately, and it's a lot of those short term dopamine spikes. And that's not only, it's addicting, and it's going to create that pattern where now we're doing that all the time and becoming more risk on and less risk averse. And then that's where we can get burnt really badly at a late point in the market, where some meme coin,
your buddy got in on a meme coin early. Guess what? You get in late, just like this Tronolution idea. Luckily, I got in at 12 cents, but still, like,
buy at 30 cents.
Yeah. We had friends that we were talking about all throughout 2017 to buy in to crypto.
Right. But
we were only talking Ether, Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Buy Ether and buy Bitcoin. Those are the two. Like, we had others as well, but at the same time, like, if you're just starting out, that's my advice, is always Bitcoin and Ether. Get into those and build yourself some wealth, and then utilize Bitcoin and Ether in a way that you can start maximizing more profit for yourself and start building out your portfolio. But your portfolio should always be around Ether and Bitcoin. And that should, until something changes, which I don't see that happening. Bitcoin is king, and Ether's not too far behind.
Right.
Everything else is there right now. It's just there. And we had friends that decided to, take smaller cap coins based off of where their prices sat, of course, and they might have hit certain ones. And even if you invested in Bitcoin at the time, you found yourself going from 20,000 down to 3,000 and losing a lot of money.
Right.
But at the same time, if you had a macro look on it, I'm holding this for long term, I'm investing in this for the future, you're going to be sitting pretty right now. But instead, if you find yourself jumping into something and then watching it crash, and you were there for the short term, you're taking losses.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I think that, there's kind of this balance, right? We talked about the idea of hodling, but then the idea of taking profits, right? And kind of just, you alluded to it a little bit, but having that plan, having, like, what's your long-term plan? Do you want to maximize some of those profits as prices soar? Do we have those price points in mind where I think it's going? And we can talk about our price predictions toward the end, but having something in mind, based on something in reality.
Well, and it's funny you bring that up as, like, having a plan too, because we all have a plan until we get punched
until the euphoria hits, or until you get punched in the face. Yeah,
this is the thing. Like, if you're gonna have a plan, stick to the plan.
Absolutely.
But have a real idea of what you want to do and go with it, because there's so many times that we've even talked about plans and we don't fully believe in the plan, or we don't want to do it because all of a sudden that euphoria hits and it's just like,
It's going to keep going.
yeah. And you have to stick with those things. And I think over time we've gotten better at that. And there's improvements that we can make, but at the same time, it's I totally agree. You got to have a plan, and like take those profits when you can, but you can go back in. But at the same time, if this is something you believe in long term, then those things that you might be taking profits back into, or back into ETH, or back into Bitcoin, or if you're going into a stable coin, then you're going to be utilizing that to go back into ETH and Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And then you can go back, you can go into those alts later on, but that's just, a macro look at those two are going to be here long term.
Absolutely.
And everything else right now, you might be able to get some huge gains in these small, cap coins, but we're looking to, especially if you're new at this, looking to learn and experience. So the best way to do that is through Bitcoin and Ether. I'm just trying to hit home Bitcoin and Ether, just because, in my opinion, I want to say this over and over and over again, especially for anyone new out there, that's where you want to start. I feel like there's so many different influencers out there. There's different YouTube channels, and all of it's talking about is 100x gains, 10x gains, 50x gains of these super small cap coins that are just going to explode. And, yes, you might hit on some, or eventually when it's alt season, you're hitting on all of them.
Right.
But if you're new to this, you want to build your portfolio out through Ether and Bitcoin, because if you have that mindset, like you were just talking about with the dopamine hits, and you're getting that early on, you lose sight of the macros outlook on it, where you're not thinking about long term with Ether and Bitcoin, and you're just getting those small little movements along the way, but you're gaining wealth. If you're just hitting with these other ones, you're going to hear those stories all the time. Like, I just became a millionaire off of this. How many people lost so much money?
And how many of these millionaires never actually took the profits?
You ain't a millionaire if you didn't.
They were a millionaire on paper, and then that was all of a sudden less than 100K when they realized, oh shit, this is tanking and it's never going back up. Or they hold all the way and, just cross their fingers and pray that it's going to come back one day.
Yes, because if you were a holder of, like, say, Tron still hasn't hit his all-time high again.
No, and I doubt it ever will.
It could. But I'm saying it's been 4 years and it's still not back. We're talking ETH is, tripled it itself from its all-time high currently. And, Bitcoin done the same, more than tripled its all-time high. And so, when you're looking at it from that aspect of things, there's money to be made if you can get into something early enough that no one knows about. But if everyone's already discussing it on the internet, there's a chance you might be a little late.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a chance, and for sure. And I think we can obviously do an episode entirely just on altcoins and NFTs and different things.
Many.
But I know you have that thesis of Bitcoin and Ethereum, and I've always been maybe a little bit more risk on, like ready to just dive in and try new things. And it was great always having, discussions with each other, because it would kind of open you up to things more, but also reel me back in, because I was, ready to just do the wild stuff. And
because the wild stuff is fun.
Absolutely.
Gets that heart racing, that dopamine hit.
Yeah.
Gets you jacked up.
Exactly. And, kind of thesis I always had was, hey, I'm investing in Ethereum. And for anybody who doesn't know, Ethereum is, you can think of Ethereum as like the App Store, the Apple App Store, or, Google Play Store. And there's a bunch of applications built on it. So that's what makes Ethereum so valuable, is there's so many things built on it and amazing things you can do. And there are all these decentralized apps. So people don't actually own the app. It's the community owns it. So anyway, there's all these things built on there. And one of those things is MakerDAO.
Yep.
And that's a decentralized lending and borrowing service. So, I learned through that bear market like, wow, I can actually lock my ETH into a smart contract and then borrow against that ETH at a very low interest rate. And that was something I started doing and playing with. And I remember, I started with a very small portion of the portfolio when I first started doing it, borrowing very little amounts, but just kind of getting my toes wet. And it's a blue chip project, one that had been around for a long time, felt safe with it. And then I remember us having a conversation and me, telling you about it and be like, dude, like this, I really think this is a smart idea, is to kind of, in a way, leverage the ETH. It is leverage at the end of the day, but much different than leverage trading, like 10x leverage.
Yeah, different type of leverage. It's almost like you're margin trading. You're borrowing against your ETH, the collateral, and then you're using that borrowed money to then purchase more ETH potentially, or
altcoins,
or whatever else you want at that time, but
or taking it out and going buying something in the real world without having to actually sell your ETH.
Yeah.
So, and then it's of course kind of it's still a risk, because if ETH goes down from there, then
to a certain price,
that
you collateralized against, then you lose it all.
Right.
So, bringing this up is great, just because like MakerDAO, one of the first movers in the DeFi world itself, was, a huge jump for me, because you brought that up and I was just a hodl. I'm holding my ETH. I'm buying a little bit more and more as time goes on. Bitcoin's the same way. Mm-hmm. And maybe I'll use, money out from the outside, the US dollar, to purchase other things as well, like a little privacy coins like Zcash or anything like that, where I want to dabble in. But then when you start bringing up that idea, and I'm trying to wrap my brain around that, the idea of locking my Ether up and using that to buy other things that I think will increase my wealth. And when you're first like trying to figure it out, I was like, where's the price going to go? Because at the end of the day, we don't know.
Right. Absolutely.
And it at least opened my eyes to start utilizing the Ethereum network, though, because yes, shocker, I did it. Mm-hmm. And I took your advice on that, where, we luckily did it in 2019.
Right.
So this was on the up and up with the market. So we're not getting hit. We're not worried about that. But at the end of the day, not financial advice by any means, any of this information we're sharing.
None of it.
But
because we are not financial advisors.
by any means, by any stretch of the imagination. But the thing that I did learn was, if you have this wealth, use it to create more wealth for yourself.
Absolutely.
But what you don't want to do, though, is over collateralize yourself to a position where you're, kind of getting sketched out, getting a little too close to that Ethereum price, because you don't know that you're able to build wealth later on. Not always is these small altcoins going to give you that opportunity.
Right, absolutely. I think that's a great point. And, we can just give like that a little bit of that 30,000 foot overview for anybody who's a little lost in this conversation with DeFi. Like, what's DeFi? It's all that is decentralized finance. So it's kind of using like what a banking service would be, but in a decentralized way. So it's people like you and me all just like pooling money together to utilize banking services in a decentralized manner. And so what we're doing is, like we said, collateralizing our ETH, borrowing against it, and we have that liquidation price. And at times we've gotten really risky with how high we let our liquidation price get.
Well, yeah, and it always depends on how much ETH we had in there. We pulled some out or put some in there so we could lower that. But yeah, it's, when you're playing with fire.
Yeah. Because, I think we both felt that greed come in at different points where it's like, oh, more, it's going up. And, even though we told ourselves.
You have to keep yourself in check.
Mm-hmm.
You have to. But the biggest thing is like, it's just the idea of, for anybody, whether you're new at this or you're an experienced trader or you've been in this space for a while, you got to continue realizing the bigger picture. And, you know, it's the long term is where we want to keep our focus. And by certain times we've put ourselves in bad positions just because, you know, learning and figuring out the DeFi space a little bit, but we were able to always pull back because we were never that deep into the waters. Right. But we know plenty of people, obviously people get liquidated all the time.
All the time.
And, you know, I know a lot of this is kind of like we're just bouncing around a little bit. And, you know, for anybody that's new into the space, might not know a lot of these terms. So it's really nice that you were able to kind of quickly talk about DeFi. But, you know, what we wanted to do is bring out, you know, in the middle of the week, bring out videos that are going to discuss, you know, a short 10-minute clip of a certain topic, you know, whether it's DeFi or a certain altcoin, and just have that discussion in there. But this is more just a roundtable on us speaking about our experiences, how we can better educate everybody, and, you know, maybe bring friends on or bring people that are more knowledgeable than ourselves onto the show that can help everyone out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and so that kind of brings me into my next topic, I should say, but who are some of those influences that have helped you, just like what we're trying to do for others?
Yeah. Well, you know, I feel like number one, it's just having each other, having you has been a really powerful influence, you know, because we're in this together, but also kind of different theses, different opinions about what things we want to dive into or don't want to dive into. And, you know, a little bit of that accountability, that checking each other.
Yeah, so I'm like the old man. Right. Very conservative. I was thinking about hodling everything until the end of time. Just put it in a savings account and just let it sit there. Right. You know, you were a little more wild. You're going out there utilizing it. So I would never, you know, or it took me a little longer to do that. Even, you know, get my feet wet in that space if it wasn't for you bringing up certain things. So you might be more of the devil on the shoulder and I'm the angel, or however you guys want to put it. Maybe he's the angel and I'm the devil keeping you down.
No, I think the angel devil is probably...
No, but regardless, it's just like talking about, like you were saying, find somebody that you can bounce ideas off that you don't agree with 100% every single time. Right. Because if you're just a room full of people that are just, we're going to the moon, everybody. Yeah, it's fun getting hyped up, but...
Yeah, absolutely.
How far are you really going to make it if you're not learning something new?
Right. Yeah,
or being kept in check a little bit.
Absolutely. So, you know, I know in terms of influencers, you know, I've bounced around to a lot of different people, and there's a lot of people I was watching in 2017 and 2018 who aren't even around anymore making content on YouTube, because I know some of that was just the hype train stuff. Yeah. I can think of one YouTuber in specific that actually was had charges filed against him by the SEC. You know, he was in the BitConnect ring, you know, and made videos on BitConnect, and I never touched BitConnect. And for anybody who is watching, got to go check out some BitConnect stuff. Yeah, there's hilarious videos on the internet.
BitConnect, yeah, the Ponzi scheme, the true Ponzi scheme.
Basically, an MLM, multi-level marketing meets cryptocurrency. Yeah, like just hodl to the moon. We're all gonna get rich. Everyone's gonna drive Lambos.
Yep. Anytime there's money to be made, there's scams out there as well.
So you know, that's some of what I watched in the past. But now, you know, 2/3 resources I really love are there's LEO Trades. Just a lot of great content, great macro outlook, but also has a really strong thesis in gaming and NFTs, and those are two things in the crypto space that I was not understanding, was, you know, not ready to adopt. I was like, I don't understand NFTs, they scare me, you know. And Same with gaming. I don't play video games, but I know that there's huge growth there, but also lots of risk. Yep. So that, that's part of why I hadn't jumped in. But that's one person I really look to kind of learn more about that whole space. And fortunately, he has somebody on his channel who does a lot of technical analysis. So I'm able to kind of just have a little bit of like that overview. And it's a very objective viewpoint of technical analysis where, it's like, hey, this is a more probable thing based on history, but that's not my prediction. I'm not making predictions here. I'm just showing you guys the numbers. This is more probable because this happens more often.
And who are you talking about?
It's a guy named Eric Crown.
Okay, Eric Crown, yeah.
And he's on Elio's channel quite often, but he has his own channel as well.
So when you
Crown's Crypto.
Yeah, when you were just bringing that, made me think of one of the influencers you actually brought into my life a little bit, and somebody I watch regularly is Benjamin Cohen.
Amazing. Another amazing technical analysis.
Well, and that's where it's just like, and a lot of his thing talks about is like dubious speculation. He talks about just how charts are, they're not real. It's fake.
Absolutely.
It's not like it's going to predict the future.
Right.
But it just helps you by choosing which ones you want to work with on understanding where things could go.
Right.
And it's refreshing to have that sort of outlook because he also has the same vision that we share of the macro look of things.
Absolutely.
And, his influence on us believing a 4-year cycle.
Mm-hmm.
Changing that to an extended cycle look. And having that idea of that possibility even taking place came from him for me. Like me thinking like everybody else, 4-year cycle until I started watching his videos and him explaining these certain things made me more of a believer into that. And as we're into 2022, there's probably an extended cycle upon us.
Right.
So, his influence I think was very crucial, especially this past year. Not even, really talking about too much of what coins to go into, but almost more of an entire market cap outlook on Bitcoin being a leader into that.
Yeah.
But
absolutely. And, those two influences, especially Benjamin Cohen, he's been saying it since the beginning of 2021 that, guys...
Even before that.
Yeah. I don't see Bitcoin going to 100K in 2021. A lot of people saying Bitcoin 300K by the end of the year, by the end of 2021.
Yeah.
And, that was the sentiment. And it was just like, oh, yeah, it's just going to be just like 2017. We're going to get a huge run up Q4 of 2021. And it's going to be like everyone, just madness, just like 17. And that's not what happened. And that's not what is happening.
Yeah.
There's, 2021 has already passed. And now we're in 2022. And he's been just echoing the same thing. It's extended cycle, diminishing returns. And that's, looking more and more and more like exactly what's
happening. If you haven't had a chance, if you are actually watching this, for the few people that are out there in the world, go subscribe to his channel. Go check it out. I think this space is all about trying to help individuals and help people that are even still in the space or don't know of the top influencers, people that they can trust, information they can trust that's going to help them become more knowledgeable. He's definitely one of them.
Absolutely.
Elio Trades, like you said, is one of them. They're building out things that are going to help, the ecosystem out.
Yeah.
And help each other out is all we can really do. And give opinions on where this space is heading is kind of, all me and you can do, just as average people.
So speaking of opinions, I say we go ahead, throw out our predictions for the year. How high and when?
Okay.
So, in terms of like market cycle cap or by the end of 2022, the middle of 2022, whatever it is.
Yeah. Could it be June, July 2022?
Right.
Can it be the end of 2022 or is it going into 2023?
Super cycle.
Well, it's this is just you never know.
No.
Can we already be in a bear market? You never know.
We could
You
already
never know,
be.
but we're not going to put that energy there.
No.
Take that back. We take it back.
And before these predictions, I think it would be a good time to remind everybody, we are not financial advisors, and this is not financial advice, and we don't know any better than most people.
Look, we're giving you people to go listen to. We are just helping you along the way on just some sharing of knowledge. That is it.
Absolutely.
We are degenerates. We are a couple muscle dummies that are just, aped into crypto like anybody else.
That's right.
Now we're here talking about our story. But, before we definitely talk about the predictions, I do want to also hit home that, what we want to bring to this channel is even more than just, this is the episode 1, the beginning of the journey for us. But I think what content we're going to bring is even more in-depth look at, mistakes we've made and how you can avoid those mistakes. But also on a weekly basis, dropping a couple videos just on different ecosystems that we're utilizing, that we're using, that we've had success with, but also that we have a macro outlook on. We're not going to ever shill out anything that is going to be a quick, flip.
Right.
We don't invest in those, or we try to avoid them at all costs. At least in my opinion, it's, we might have someone on to make a discussion about it, just have a different point of view, because maybe that is your niche. But this is what it's all about, is finding the niche that works best for you. But in order to get there, you got to start somewhere. Start with making sure that Bitcoin, Ether is your holdings. Always keep it at the top of the holding list for yourselves, and then start to dabble once you've created a little bit of wealth for yourself. But and then also talking about security and how to
definitely. We could do
crypto.
A whole video on security.
Yes, so it's which could easily be down the road, and how to utilize that and how to keep yourself safe out there, because as much as you want to create wealth, other people are trying to take that from you.
Absolutely.
But all right, let's go with the predictions though.
Let's do it.
What do you got for us?
Yeah. So, I have
no pressure, because we'll look back on this and see how close you were.
Exactly. Yeah. And I feel like I'm gonna go with a range, but also give a number. Like maybe just a random. But I want to say the guarantee number that I just see beyond a shadow of a doubt is Bitcoin 100K.
Okay, Bitcoin 100K.
That's happening. Bitcoin 100K, I see happening. Like at the very latest that I could possibly see that happening is like April.
Okay.
And I do think this cycle goes probably until, I'm gonna say, May to July. Somewhere between May and July is like that.
Of 2022?
Yeah, May to July of 2022 market cycle peak before we see an extended correction, which probably doesn't last 4 years. It's probably, I think, faster cycles and shrinking cycles. But yeah, is that May to July, somewhere that peak, I do see Bitcoin getting somewhere around 200,000.
Okay.
And just to give, we've been talking about Bitcoin and Ether. I'll throw out my Ether prediction. I think same time frame, by April, we see Ethereum reaching, I want to say 12K.
Okay.
And then market cycle peak, I'm thinking, this is hopium because big holder of Ethereum, but I'm thinking 25-30K.
But when?
By May to July
is what
market cycle
hope.
Peak. I'm really, yes, of course hoping, but also I'm thinking.
All right, so you are definitely a little bit more bullish
Yes.
on your prediction than I am. I would also love to see that high of ETH. I think any one of us would. But I've always had a vision of 20,000 is the price for ETH. It's followed Bitcoin in pricing models before. And
that's what Bitcoin hit in 2017.
Yeah. And if this is an extended cycle of that,
right?
It's just there's a chance that that's where it's going to go, right above 20. And when that happens, I believe, I'm using that more of an indicator, sadly, as when this market's going to peak, because it's hard to guess for Bitcoin. Because this is all new territory for Bitcoin. And if you can try to utilize something of a prediction model for when the top is, if ETH follows Bitcoin's track at all, especially if it starts going 8,000, 7,000, 8,000, back-to-back months, and then hits 10,000, and then in 1 month it goes from 10 to 20, it's followed very similar to what Bitcoin did back at the end of 2017. So if it does that towards, in the middle of 2022, not saying that, who knows what the market's going to do, but not saying that you could find yourself, thinking that that's the peak, and when the bear market's not too far behind that, or maybe it continues going up. But who really knows? But just my prediction, I am thinking we do get to towards the end of summer is also my thought process, and that I do have to say, looking at Benjamin Cohen's videos a lot of the times, I know he's more thinking 10,000 ETH, but he's very short on his predictions. I think as a more of a what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of
just very modest, if probably a better word, but
and but I do think it's going to hit higher than that. But that's just my gut feeling, and that's all we can go off of is our view of things, which can be obviously we all can differ from one another. But middle of the summer, I wouldn't mind seeing it go longer, because that just means I can accumulate more and more.
Right.
But even once this all is over, I'm still going to try to accumulate more.
Yeah.
One way or another.
Absolutely.
And, we'll talk about how you can do that in future videos, and how we can just all, WAGMI.
Yeah.
We're all going to make it.
Yeah, that's right. We're all going to make it. And, it's just about having the plan, the strategy, a little bit of hodl, a little bit of taking profits, and, having a plan and pretty much sticking to it.
Yeah, sticking as close as you can to it, because obviously when things are if you've been in the market this past year, at some point if you were here before May and you're feeling that hopium of March, April, May, everything was going up.
Yep.
No one was going to lose anything.
Right.
And lo and behold, a few influencers said there should be a pullback, and there was. But no one wants to believe it when it's going on.
Right.
And you're out there buying more during a peak, and then you're hurt for a little while.
Absolutely.
Just sitting on there.
Absolutely.
Just watching all your alts bleed against Ether and Bitcoin. So
and just a testament here to the plan, the strategy thing is, I had a plan, and I believe we talked about this too, of taking some profits on ETH starting at 4K. And then 5K and 6K, and it hasn't hit 5K yet, but it did hit 4K. And I wanted to sell like 2 or 3% of the portfolio at that point. And if I had, then it would have been amazing to be able to buy $1,700 ETH. It dropped to.
Yeah.
So.
And even if it kept going up, guess what? You took profit.
Right.
You made money.
Right.
But if you have a vision of holding ETH forever at the same time, it's not a bad thing to still take out some.
Right. And
to utilize for in the real world, or in the metaverse if you truly want to use it for that.
Right.
But whatever you decide to use your wealth on is up to you. But yeah, it's if you get a plan, how can you stick to it? Everyone can make a plan until euphoria hits,
or you get punched in the face. Of course. Awesome. Well, I think that does it for episode 1 of Macro Crypto.
Yeah, had fun.
Yep, I definitely enjoyed it.
Hopefully, get to do this more often.
Yep, absolutely. We'll be doing at least one video a week, and likely some more.
Yeah, we'll share a couple short videos a week and see what if you want to like and subscribe to this video. I waited a long time to say that.
Yeah.
drop some comments in the comment section if there's certain videos you or discussion topics that you would like us to go over. We'll throw that into the video as well. We want to, ultimately either build a community that learns from our experiences, and or we'll just be doing a podcast, just me and you.
Yeah, exactly.
Just having our same talk, just video chatting on YouTube, regardless. But thank you, everybody, for joining us, for those who do.
Yep. Peace out. Till next time.